Hey guys, Mauro here. Okay, we're gonna go to the fundamentals of the backhand. This is for beginners of the. I'm gonna go two-handed backhand. This is the most common that people start when the beginners start. They go for the two-handed backhand. It's easier than one-handed. I will do the one-handed for another video, but just to start on the two-handed backhand. Okay, in the backhand, whether you one-handed or two-handed, contrary to the forehand or different to the forehand, you want to be completely sideways. You want to turn your body 90 degrees facing the fence, the side fence here. Okay. Now, one thing that you want to pay attention to when you get ready is let's say you're a righty, so you have the left foot right here on the line. On the backhand, what you want to do is cross over with the right foot just a little bit. See, you see the line there? If I step right on the line, right by it, that's good enough. If you step right, if both feet are completely aligned, that is gonna be good. But you're gonna be more prone to open your body early and start hitting to the side. So if you wanna try to get used to cross over at least a little bit, especially in the beginning. Just try to make it a habit, because eventually the crossover is even more important to help your body rotate. Okay, now it's not gonna be overdo it like crossover. Don't go crossover too much, because that means that if I'm standing here, naturally my body's gonna be, see, my chest, the center of my chest is pointing that way. Now imagine I'm pointing that way and I want to hit the ball that way. Of course I'm not gonna be able. That's why you don't want to cross over that far. And the crossover is more of a diagonal step, not really along this line and to the side. No, if you notice, it's more of a diagonal step there. Okay, all right. So the second thing is let's say when you bring the racket back, don't worry about doing the big loop here. If you're beginning, I would say just become familiar first with swinging forward. Don't worry about the big loop. This will happen easier. As you start hitting the ball, you're gonna start bringing it around longer, bigger loop, longer and longer and better. So you're in this position, okay? Now, you're gonna have the racket. If I put the racket here, like this, between the top, this bevel here on top, and this bevel here in the front, there is one, let's say right in the edge. There is right in the edge of that, the index finger knuckle, that is when you want to go, okay? Index finger knuckle, so when you grab the racket here, you don't want to be showing me the back of the palm, which is the most common mistake on most beginners. Advanced, I have intermediate, and I have even seen it in advanced. I hit the backhand with the back of the palm in the front instead of showing more the knuckles there, which is going to allow you to meet the ball early and brush eventually as you become a better player. So pay attention to your grip. First thing, remember, bevel on top, bevel in the front, right between those two, right here in the edge in the middle, index finger knuckle goes there. So when I teach, I always tell people knuckles when I see them that they're doing that. It's easy to notice because when they hit when they have the knuckles in the wrong place, which is usually in the front, it looks like this instead of looking more like that, the angle with the racket and the arm. So just remember the knuckles there. It's like putting your fist pointing towards someone. Well, that's more or less how you want it, okay? Don't bring it too far in the front because you're going to end up the same way. Don't bring it too far in the back because that racket is going to end up kind of weird pointing up there, okay? So one thing is, what I'm going to teach you here is the basic, but this is not written in stone. This is just the basic to start. Eventually, every player, just like we do in everything else, we customize what we do. You know, we customize the game, we customize what we learn to the way we adjust it to ourselves, to the way we feel better with it, okay? You can start with the knuckles here, and you're probably gonna go a little further back, just a little. You don't wanna go too far in the front or back, but you're gonna adjust it a little bit, okay? Eventually, so just to start, okay? So you got the knuckles there, and you just grab the racket with the other hand, all right? Now, you got the right grip. You're gonna cross over a little bit with the step here. You start just with a little bit when you're starting. And what you want to feel is that if you get in position down here, keep the racket low just to start hitting. If I'm getting position to hit and I can see I'm peeking over my shoulder, that means I'm in the right position to hit. Look what happens if I move this foot, the right foot. If you don't cross over enough, you can even cross over a little less and still good. But look what happened. If I don't cross over, this starts moving. If my shoulder is not here, if I'm not looking over the shoulder, that means you're not in the right position to hit. Same thing in the forehand. If when you're ready, you get ready, if you're there, that means you're way too open. You always want to start here and then you rotate. Backhand, you start here, good crossover here, racket ready. Okay, so the first thing that you want to remember here when you're in this position is, do you want the racket? A lot of people start with the racket pointing forward. No, you want the left wrist to cock, pointing back the racket here. So you want it. The first thing you want to remember is left wrist. Okay, just remember that left wrist. Okay. If you have the knuckles, if you're grabbing the racket with the right way, your knuckles, just the knuckles are gonna be pretty much naturally pointing that way, at least a little bit. Knuckles there, right grip is never gonna allow you to hit like this. Look what I have to do with the wrist. That's not natural. So you want to make sure knuckles here. This is that's the first word you want to remember, guys. Backhand, two-handed, knuckles. Once you're ready here, you're gonna swing forward, and you're gonna imagine that you have a coin in the racket. So you want to keep the coin in the racket. You don't want to drop it. Means you don't want to open or close it. So you swing forward and you make contact. Look, when I make contact, I want to keep the coin in the racket, and the face of my racket is pointing forward. Okay, and look at the angle with my racket and arm. That means that I'm making contact more or less by my right shoe. You don't want to go way too early, and you do not want to go late where you're gonna hit between your legs, in front of your body, because then you don't have this angle. You start hitting here. You're not gonna put any spin. You're just gonna be digging that ball. You're just gonna be slapping. No, you wanna swing. That means you're gonna lag contact. See, the racket is gonna come at an angle, and you make contact here. So the first thing is knuckles. Keep the coin in the racket. Contact. And the third thing is freeze your head. Every time I say hit the ball clean, hit the ball solid, means you're gonna freeze your head. You're gonna hit, and instead of following the ball, you see the ball coming, and instead of following the ball after you hit, you're gonna follow, boom, and you freeze at contact. So you lose sight of the ball just for a fraction of a second, and then you look away. Okay, so I'm gonna do knuckles, coin in the racket, and freeze my head at contact there. So I gotta end up looking at the background just for a fraction of a second, and then I look at the ball. Okay, if you check Federer, you know that's one of the reasons why he hits the ball so well, so clean. Even those shots that are kind of like a half volley coming fast all the way here on the baseline is because the guy has immaculate eye and hand, not really eye hand coordination. Of course he has good eye to hand coordination, but he's very disciplined, keeping his head still at the moment of contact. You can see it on the pictures. You can Google it, Federer forehand, backhand, and you're gonna see it's very common. See the guy still looking at the background after contact, and that means the guy is focusing on hitting the ball clean. He knows that he makes the shot clean if he focuses on what's doing inside his bubble, which is working on the technique. The shot is gonna take care of itself, which is what you wanna do. Do not pay attention to the shot, because that's your ego, that's the desire to control. And when it's usually when it's ego, guys, it's just insecurity. That's the desire to control. You don't wanna start your mind working in that aspect, because playing tennis is just gonna be a nightmare when you start letting it go in that aspect of control and ego and just trying to control the shot, all the things. That's one of the things that freezing your head is gonna help. Is not gonna allow you to go through all the computer long list, check of things that you're doing that you should be doing on the back end. You just freeze here, focus on the ball coming, ready, freeze it, and finish here. Try to finish with the elbows all the way here. Eventually you're gonna do different heights and different things with the elbows, you know, depending on the kind of shot that you're doing, depending on your position, depending on the incoming shot. But just to start, do that, you know, knuckles, coin in the racket, freeze, finish it here. The freezing of the head is very important, because the pretty much that's what's going to take control of the shot. That's what's going to make the shot, and that's going to allow your body to work. That's when you freeze your head, you're focusing more on the part that you are supposed to do, which is just two things: the footwork and the eyes of the ball. That's it. You just have to take care of the footwork part, moving, and looking at the ball, looking at trajectory of the ball, and making clean contact. Okay, everything else, when you do that, when you don't follow the ball back, you don't throw your body off balance, and you allow your body to work naturally, to do its job, to do what it subconsciously has learned to do, which is hitting the ball. You're not getting in the way of the baby learning to walk. You're letting it, you're not the mom freaking out because the baby is tripping. Again, like I did in the video on the forehand. What happens is when you freeze it here and you focus what's happening inside your bubble and not in the result, which is a shot, what you're doing is you're just focusing on doing the things right, and the shot will take care of itself. It becomes a natural thing, like it happens when you drive, like it happens when you go home and you know what all the switches are, and you know that, okay, switch here and here and here to turn the lights on. It's just natural. You don't have to think about it. So that's the way you do it. When you freeze your head, you don't try to control the shot. You let your body, you trust your body, which is the way that we're supposed to be playing. So just remember that, guys. Knuckles, coin in the racket, freeze your head, and make sure you finish here. Start slow. Start real slow. You wanna be able to hit that ball slow when you're starting, let's say, hitting from the service line, going back and forth, hitting with someone. At first, you're not gonna control the shot. If you cannot control the shot, don't worry. But you should be able to do this. See, a lot of people they cannot really go slow, and they go fast. If you really know, if you want to know, if you have control of your forehand and your backhand, and even if you're an advanced player, that means you're able to ball it from the service line, and you can hit the ball like that. See, you can finish your swing slow, and your shot and the ball can go slow. That means you have full control of your ground strokes. All right, guys. Well, go ahead, try it. If you have any questions, something goes wrong, doesn't work, whatever, let me know. Come back, put in your comments so I can read it, and I can approach. I can say, okay, this is what I know. I think this is what's happening on that. Let me know how it goes. Questions, suggestions. Give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and well, good to see you again. I'll see you next time. Bye.